Project 2025, remember that? Yeah, we're living through it right now. The stakes starts now. Good evening and welcome to The Stakes. I'm Tara Setmayer. This is Michelle Kinney. We are the co-founders of the Seneca Project, and we're glad everyone is with us for tonight's edition of The Stakes. And we've survived another 10 years of the new Trump administration. Oh, I mean, only a week. Good God.
Yeah.
It's been a lot, as we've been saying, as we've predicted it would be. But yeah, people are finally finding out what this new Trump
Yeah.
era is
If
going to
only
be.
someone had warned the general public about what was about to happen.
If only, I wonder, did
Hmm.
anybody ever sound the alarm about this? Yes, us and lots of other people, but people
Right.
didn't want to learn. So here we are.
Here we are.
Here we are. A lot has happened since the last time we were all together.
Too much.
Besides, like, we had an awful plane crash, then we had another awful plane crash. That feels like it was 10 years ago.
Mhm.
Elon Musk, it has basically infiltrated our federal government databases, which are really
Yeah.
sensitive, really important, and include information on virtually every American, and not just government workers, not just government secrets, not just, Treasury Department stuff like government contracts and the trillions of dollars that go through the Treasury, not just all of that, but like Social Security numbers and Medicare and Medicaid information and all kinds of things that's really sensitive that civil servants who have been in the
Mhm.
government for decades and are highly trained and experienced and vetted usually control. But
Mhm.
now Elon Musk and his Doge jerk offs are out here all inside the databases at the Treasury Department, at the Office of Personnel Management, and at USAID, which, oh, by the way, they've completely shut down and dismantled. One of our favorite neighbors in my neighborhood, in my community here, is impacted by this.
Oh gosh.
Her and her husband are from Sierra Leone, and they do a lot of work. He does stuff in other areas, but she does work through USAID. My husband just saw her and found out that, yeah, locked out. They don't know what's going on, and just
I'm
awful.
so sorry.
It's crazy. This is impacting tens of thousands of people, not just USAID, but all the other Elon Musk thing where illegally, we believe, and a judge, I'm going to get to the breaking news because just before we came on air, which is why we were a couple minutes late, there was breaking news about some court orders to put a little temporary hold on some of this stuff. But Elon Musk sent out, and his minions, with apparently without White House knowledge. Don't believe Donald Trump when he says that Elon is doing everything that they've already approved. Bullshit, because there's stories coming out saying we don't know what he's doing or when. He's just going rogue.
Right.
Shocker. But they sent out a memo to virtually the entire government saying, oh, yeah, you have until Friday, that's today, to decide whether you're going to take a buyout. So,
Which is like a joke. Like
total joke.
it's just trying to get people to resign, really. I mean, and then 8 months salary. Like, who first of all, it's Congress who has to appropriate those funds. It's not up to Elon Musk or even Donald Trump to be doling money out that way. And quite frankly, it's like not a thing. It's not a thing.
It's not. And shockingly, the same terminology, fork in the road, that was in this resign or else letter was the
Yeah.
same letter that Elon Musk used when he went in and blew up Twitter. It's the same deal with the devil that he offered the Twitter folks. And so, King Elon Musk, the shadow president of the United States, has run amok, and Donald Trump is letting him. And I'm just like, did people not listen? Did they not see that this was going to happen? Elon Musk bought Donald Trump and bought the presidency for him. Did they not think that he was going to do this? Literally. And so here we are. And tens of thousands of federal workers and subcontractors and communities around the world now, not just here, are being impacted by this absolute freaking takeover. I call it a digital coup.
It is.
It's nuts. And it's not just Elon. This merry band of idiots that he's brought with him are like teenage hackers. Okay?
Yeah, I have a whole bunch of stuff to show about that.
We're going to get into who these people are in a minute. But the news now with all of this, right? It's just a flood of stuff. So one federal judge has temporarily blocked this buyout, this fork in the road buyout thing until Monday, at least. As of today, at least as of this morning. Today was a real day, so I don't know what else happened. I think is today? Yeah, today was the deadline. I keep thinking today is Friday. I don't know what.
I have no idea.
I don't know. What year are we in?
No clue.
But as of this morning, 40,000 federal workers had opted in to take this deal.
Oh, no.
Right.
Oh, no.
How many? They were expecting 200,000 to do it out of the couple million that were offered this. But it doesn't matter at this point because a judge was like, pump the brakes. We're not sure this is even legal. And we need to review it.
Yeah. Like, I mean, I'm not a lawyer. I can tell you right now, it's not legal.
Right.
You know?
I mean, just based on what you said and what we know about the way money is appropriated, the way the federal government works, you can't just do this. This isn't a company. Okay. So there's that. The next thing, a judge also has blocked Elon and Doge's access to these sensitive databases. The Treasury Department, basically, because the Treasury Secretary, this guy, Besant, he gave him permission to do it. Yeah, go ahead, go on right in last Friday. And Kara Swisher, who is a phenomenal tech reporter, she's like an Elon whisperer. She's been covering him for years. She's amazed. She's been screaming from the rooftops since last week about him getting access to the stuff. And she was like, hello, you guys, this is really bad. He doesn't need to have access to this information. He's conflicted. And the people he's bringing in, this team, they're unvetted. You're going to have to bring in like white hat hackers to unfuck whatever he's doing. This is really bad. That was almost a week ago. So God knows what they've gotten access to and what they've done since then.
Because they're holed up in the building. I mean, they're living
literally over the weekend, last weekend, these guys moved in. They brought beds and sofa beds in to these agencies to stay there all night. Like this is the same thing that they did with Twitter. So this has been since last week. I mean, the Democrats finally woke up and a couple days a little late, but they were like protesting in front of USAID, in front of the Treasury Department. Some employees actually tried to barricade the doors to stop them from entering.
I mean, it shouldn't be up to them to have to do that, but you know, it's always, as you say, the average American people who will be the ones that'll have to step in and make this stop.
Yep. And all of this has happened, folks, in less than 7 days. In less than 7 days. So this judge today finally got around to saying, well, maybe these people who are not government employees shouldn't have access to be able to tinker with anything, so that it's a read only. So they can look at it, but they can't do anything else.
Right.
I mean, I guess
I don't know if I believe that.
They shouldn't be looking at it at all.
Yeah, these are like little techie hackers. I'm not buying it. Well,
one of them, since we're talking about it, we might as well go there. One of them is 25 years old. His name is Marco Elez, and he resigned today because social media posts were uncovered of his little racism that were pretty problematic. And he probably shouldn't be anywhere near any of this. Hey, listen, if you're 25 years old and you're a phenom and like a genius, that's great, but you need to be vetted first. There's a reason why people go through security checks. And Kara Swisher and others who cover this have been screaming that these guys will never pass background checks or security clearances because a lot of reasons. And this is one of them. Do we have copies of what he said?
I'm okay. So we're going to start with this Daily Beast article here, Unmasked. Musk's secret Doge goon squad, who are all under 26 years old. So this is all of them. if you can look into their eyes and see that they were born not very long ago. They would have gone to the prom not very long ago, although
I don't think any of these guys
by the
went to
looks
the
of it, I don't
prom.
think that any of them went. Whatever.
Oh my
It's
God.
true, and you all know it. So I've got some copy here, and if you're listening at home and not watching, it says Elon Musk's team of young Doge disruptors have been unmasked. One is 19-year-old college freshman and heir to a popcorn fortune. Another was hosting Model UN sessions in 2019. Can't. A third was given money by his parents to invest in stocks while at his high school in Silicon Valley. It goes on. Hold on, let me get in here. Yeah, so it was first reported who these people were, what they were doing by Wired.com. So if
this was like 5 days ago. Good shout out to Wired for being on top of this.
Shout out to Wired. Go and subscribe. It's like super cheap. I think I was like $1 a month or something. Go subscribe. They are the ones that are reporting on the tech news that is affecting us all. And honestly, they're doing the work that the legacy media, for whatever reason, is incapable of doing or won't do.
They won't do. Both. Oh, they're capable, but they won't. Scared. They're chicken shit now because Trump has threatened all their FCC licenses. So that's a whole show in and of itself. But continue.
First reported by Wired.com on Sunday. I apologize. I'm killing these kids' names. I don't really know that I care. Akash Baba, 21, a student at the University of California, Berkeley. Edward Korestein, 19. This is a kid who calls himself Big Balls. We'll get to that in a second. A student at Northeastern University in Boston. And Ethan Chautran, 22, who said in September he was a senior at Harvard. So he's still in college. Yeah. The ones who actually have degrees and aren't just high school graduates, or at least have left college: Luke Ferrator, 23, who attended the University of Nebraska without graduating; Gautier Cole-Killian, a 24-year-old who attended McGill University; and Gavin Kleiger, a 25-year-old who attended Berkeley. Now,
okay.
So I'm going to just go, let's go from the top. We're going to go clockwise here because I just feel like it's important that people can put a face to it. And listen, if I was part of a guerrilla political tactic person, there'd be wanted signs. That's just what I would do. Okay, this kid, Gavin Kleiger, top left, okay? He is a Matt Gaetz fanboy. His LinkedIn lists that he's an employer with the U.S. Office of Personnel Management. But I think the biggest part here is that he is a big Matt Gaetz stan, if that tells you anything about him. Next one over is Ethan Chautran. Let's see. Last summer, he detailed how he balances his startup with full-time studies. He's the one that's at Harvard. Next one over, that is Big Balls kid, I think. Let me see if my printer
this kid, properly. Edward Korestein. Right?
Yep.
This one, the fact that he goes by the name Big Balls online, first of all, the kid is 19 years old. He can't even have a beer or rent a car. And this kid has access to highly classified, sensitive government databases. This is absolutely insanity. He's also an Elon Musk stan. He has an LLC called Tesla Sexy, okay?
I have some of that too.
Right. He started a business when he was 16 years old, allegedly. He's established at least 5 different companies in 4 years with entities registered in Connecticut, Delaware, and the United Kingdom, most of which were not listed on his now deleted LinkedIn. He's also using a Telegram handle tied. Someone is using a Telegram handle tied to him that solicited a cyber attack for hire service later that year in 2022. He worked for Elon Musk's Neuropath wacko company over there, and also he hangs out over on Discord. Do you guys know what that is?
Like a super right-wingy.
Really bad. That's where the guy, the kid up in Massachusetts, Teixeira, that got arrested for like posting sensitive information. He was in the National Guard or whatever. Discord is also a haven for Russian hackers and
Well,
like intel ops and things like that.
Funny you should mention that, because this Tesla Sexy LLC. So this kid worked at a startup that had hired convicted hackers.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, the young kid named Big Balls. That's the kid that we were talking about, the 19-year-old high school graduate. Keep going, keep going.
Yeah, he said, I have it here in front of you. I'm helping you out.
Sorry.
No, that's okay. His Tesla Sexy LLC controls dozens of web domains, including at least 2 Russian registered domains. One of those domains, which is still active, offers a service called Healthy, which is an AI bot for Discord servers targeting the Russian market. While the operation of a Russian website would not violate U.S. sanctions preventing Americans from doing business with Russian companies, it would potentially be a factor in a security clearance review. Let me tell you something right now. As someone who has worked in the government, someone who has a husband who has security clearance, there is no fucking way this kid would ever get a security clearance and have access to this stuff. So this is just a microcosm, okay, of the people that Elon Musk has running through our government databases since last week. And the Republicans have let him do it. And Donald Trump went into press conferences praising all of it. These Republicans are rationalizing this, saying that, well, we need to shake it up. We need to go in and make these government agencies more efficient. No. And listen, I'll be the first one as a small government conservative for years that believes that the government is way overbloated and there's a lot of bureaucracy and the fat could be cut. This isn't the way to do that. This isn't that. This isn't that. This isn't reform. This is dismantling. This is decapitating our government. This is exposing our databases and our information to our foreign adversaries. We are so vulnerable right now to foreign hacking. I can't even begin to explain it. And not only that, the quality of these people, this kid, Marco Ellis, the 25-year-old that resigned today, his racist post said, quote, "You could not pay me to marry outside of my ethnicity." Okay, he wrote that in September. Normalize Indian hate. This kid has got a lot of problems with Indian Americans because of Silicon Valley and their prevalence in the tech sector. He also said, quote, "I was racist before it was cool."
Oh.
Yeah. He also said, quote, "I would not mind at all if Gaza and Israel were both wiped off the face of the earth."
That's
okay.
Something.
Yeah. These are the people, these are the lieutenants that Elon Musk that Donald Trump and Republicans have empowered to infiltrate and reshape, reorganize, destroy, dismantle, decapitate, pick your word, our government agencies. Just let that sink in. Now, there's a reason that we found out before we came on air that there are 12 states attorneys general who are now suing DOGE for this unauthorized access to information. Why it isn't all 50, I don't know, because every state should be suing, red or blue, because this is illegal, it's dangerous, and it impacts every American, and it needs to stop. It needs to stop. Thank God we have a couple of judges. The judiciary is doing its part as a check and balance of this shit, finally. So far. I mean, I'm not going to hold my breath if it goes to the Supreme Court, but so far. And we saw protests this week. We saw people starting to mobilize, senators just did a filibuster to try to stop Russell vote. The vote is happening actually right now. Vote.
Oh, it is?
Yeah. I want to say voit the way it's spelled.
I know, it looks like it. When they said vote, I was like, wait, really? Okay.
I know. So the vote for vote is happening, I believe, as we speak right now. He's probably going to get confirmed. And this guy, the Office of Management and Budget, is one of those obscure offices that the average American has no idea what OMB does or why. But they are basically the internal budgeting agency inside the government. And they recommend different places to allocate money. They come up with the president's budget that goes to Congress the way it used to work way back when in the 90s, which I think is the last time we had a balanced budget and the last time we actually cleanly passed the appropriation bills for each agency. Like that used to be a thing. These big CRs where you just big comprehensive bills where they would pass them to stop a government shutdown. It didn't used to be like that. It used to be like they used to have bills for each agency and the committees would go through them. They'd have reconciliation and they would pass them one by one. Those days are long gone because of the politics of the situation. But the OMB plays a really, really important role in prioritizing where budget money goes. They recommend it and they kind of control the distribution of it after Congress is passed. Like they have a certain amount of control of prioritizing things. But once Congress passes it, Congress authorizes the programs and then they appropriate it, right? We approve that the money should go there and now we're going to disperse it there. That's the way the system works. This guy thinks none of that should happen. They think that there's this universal power by this universal executive power, and that the president has all this control over it. And this guy is a major architect of Project 2025. That's the key here.
He said during his confirmation hearing that he wanted federal workers to be traumatized.
That is a quote.
Those are his words. Traumatized.
Yes. He thinks that there should be this mass purge. What you're seeing happening, what we've been watching for the last week, well, couple weeks now, but it's really ramped up in the last week, is straight out of the Project 2025 playbook. Finally, CNN did a segment on this today and demonstrated that 2/3 of the executive orders that Donald Trump has signed are straight out of Project 2025. Now, Michelle, who warned about Project 2025 last summer? Was it us?
It was us.
I think we should show the video that we put out. This was our second piece of content after we launched with Time for Choosing. Our next piece of content was this.
I think this video has made me rethink the 19th Amendment.
Will women have the right to vote tomorrow if you wave that magic Christian wand?
No.
A federal ban on abortion, ban mifepristone, ban stem cell research, and expand access to fertility awareness family planning methods.
If you dress like that and you get raped and I'm on the jury, he's going to go free.
If you're in your early 30s, I'm sorry, it's like you're not as attractive in the dating pool as you were in the early 20s.
There has to be some form of punishment.
For the woman?
Yeah, there has to be some form.
These women are getting paid salaries to play for a league that, economically speaking, shouldn't exist.
Abortion's not health care.
We are in the process of the Second American Revolution, which will remain bloodless if the left allows it to be.
The Project 2025 plan is not a game. Look it up.
It actually like pisses me off. Like I can't even gloat.
I know.
It like the thing that has since the election, I feel like I was trying to compartmentalize my feelings about the electorate and just trying to get through the holidays. But now that we're really in the thick of it, I'm like, wow, Jesus Christ. Americans are dumber and meaner than I thought they were. And I hate to say that, but it's true. And there's a vast majority who are not, but
they're disengaged though.
They're
the ones that are not, they're not there's a lot that are disengaged, and that's, silence.
I'm angry. I'm so angry. And it's, you don't want to feel that way about your fellow woman and man Americans, but it's, at 2 times doing this, like I
know. And not only that, it's also like, it's not just here. The world, the international community is looking at America right now going, what the actual fuck? Like, what are you guys doing? What are we doing? This USAID thing, right? Oh, yeah. Tell that story.
Well, I have some friends traveling abroad that just got back actually from South Africa. They were there for 2 weeks. One of them actually works for the federal government, which is, what a thing to come back to.
Do they still work for the federal government, or are they 86?
Last I heard, but I don't know. Last I heard is their coworkers ended up on the DEI watch list website with their photograph and their name. Like it's literally like they're hunting people. They're hunting people within the federal government and trying to create this culture is not a big enough word, like a snitch. I mean, this is some Nazi Germany shit. I mean, some real like authoritarian, like that is what happens in these scenarios. And so my friends were in South Africa, and I was asking one of my friends, I said, you know, what is it like there, you know, in terms of inequality? He said, oh, it's glaring, the wealth inequality here. It's like you'll see mansions next to like 3 tiny little things. He said it's nuts. And he said, but he goes, we did run into some white guys, some South African white guys who were wearing MAGA hats.
Of course they were.
And he said, and then another group of white South African people who then, you know, they heard our accents and knew that we were from America. And they said, oh, Trump, we love Trump. And my friend, God bless him, he was like, don't talk to me, you racist piece of shit.
Good for him.
You know what I mean? He's like,
yeah.
He goes, I don't care. He's like, anybody who would say that, especially in a place like South Africa, you are a racist piece of shit. And so, you know.
Pretty much. And, you know, there was a really heated segment on CNN last night on Abby Phillips' show, which I'm scheduled to do next week. I'm supposed to be on next Wednesday. It should be interesting. If they, the last
discussion on Abby Phillips' show.
Yeah, no, it was interesting. I happen to have it on, and there were 2 Black women against 2 white dudes, including Scott Jennings, trying to white-splain to them DEI. And I have to tell you, it was one of the most frustrating, infuriating conversations. But those sisters gave it to them to the point where Carrie Champion, who's you know, sports, she was an athlete and she's like on ESPN and stuff now, I think. But she did not back down, and neither did Adrian. I forget her last name. She's a regular CNN commentator. They raked them over the coals. And Scott, to the point where Scott Jennings had to back down so badly. And I found it to be incredibly patronizing, but he was like, Adrian, you and I are friends off camera.
Oh my God.
You and I both share Midwestern roots and similar
we
values.
don't.
And I was like, you condescending, patronizing. I was so furious. But she was like, well, yes, you know, but you could tell she was trying to keep it together.
Well, right, because especially as a Black woman on cable news, like, I mean, like
there's paid by CNN, and I can tell you right now that as someone who used to be paid by CNN as a contributor,
you have to watch yourself.
You have to watch yourself, because I used to get yelled at by the head of contributors back then about being too tough on Kayleigh McEnany. Remember her back then in 2016? Because I used to drag
binders full of women. That always a big binder.
Okay. And she would say things that were just outrageous. I would destroy her. And then she would say things on social media and I would further destroy her. And I got a call a couple times from head of contributors to say, you're all colleagues and we're all on the same team and you're a 24-hour ambassador of CNN. And I feel like, really? What? Are you telling her not to come for me?
Yeah.
I'm just giving it back. So I say all that to say that I'm sure Adrian, especially, and that was under the Zucker regime. So that was even, you know, when they were tougher on Trump.
Yeah.
Now they're up Trump's ass and they're not allowed to editorialize anything. And so I'm sure she had to be very measured in her response given the climate there now. So yeah, that's what's happening.
It's so upsetting. And you know, Jasmine Crockett was on CNN 2 nights ago talking about a tweet from this guy named Darren Beattie, who was just appointed by Marco Rubio, who's the Secretary of State now, as the acting undersecretary of State of Diplomacy.
Public diplomacy.
Sorry,
yeah. I'm the government. I'm the government.
I know. I was like, I was like, when I was making a video that I was like, actually, I had to like write it down because I'm like, there's so many words in this title. But you know, I think we should just show the clip of Jasmine.
Yes, please.
the Congresswoman, I shouldn't just call her Jasmine, the Congresswoman Crockett, because
fantastic.
I mean, she is the leader that we need right now. And she is the one who is rallying the troops.
1,000%. And she I talked to her this week. She's a friend, and she appreciated us cutting this clip and sharing it because she's, you know, she's trying to do her part. And so the more the merrier. And she's glad to that, you know, we support her that way. But yes, let's show the wonderful, fabulous Congresswoman.
Great.
Competent white men must be in charge if you want things to work. Unfortunately, our entire national ideology is predicated on coddling the feelings of women and minorities and demoralizing competent white men.
The coddling is for the white boys. That's what's happening right now. I am tired of the white tears. Listen, if you are competent, you are not concerned. When I walk into Congress every single day, you know why I don't feel a way and why you can't make me doubt who I am is because I know that I had to work 10 times as hard as they did just to get into the seat. When you look and you compare me to Marjorie Taylor Greene or me to Lauren Boebert, there is no comparison. And that is the life that we have always lived. So the only people that are crying are the mediocre white boys that have been beaten out by people that historically have had to work so much harder. This is why they don't want us to have education. This is why they are trying to literally say we won't fund the HBCUs, because they know that if they've already gone after affirmative action and they're saying, you know what, don't allow them to come into, say, PWIs, as we call them. We know why they created the HBCUs in the first place. It was because they wouldn't allow us into the white institutions. And so now they're not allowing us in. And now they're saying, you know what, we're also going to defund the HBCUs. You know why? Because they don't want any more Kamala Harrises. They don't want any more Jasmine Crockett's. But I got news for them. I don't care what they do. We will fight to the end to make sure that we get our due. Because again, if you want to talk about the people that shouldn't be in this country, you probably need to look in the mirror, because the last time I checked, the Native Americans who Summer ICE have been rounding up, or the Puerto Ricans who are absolutely Americans. Listen, the only people that came and colonized this place are your ancestors, Trump.
She better give it to them.
So I love the end. Trump. I was like, yes. I was like, did she say chump or Trump? I was like, you know what? Same diff.
Same difference. Same difference. Same difference. They don't want this smoke. That's why they do. What did I say to you? I said to you, Michelle, that we should start framing this whole issue, not just racism, because people shut down with that. I'm not a racist.
Yeah.
Right? It's about being threatened. Why are they so threatened by us, by women of color, by anyone who isn't a white, straight Christian man? Why are they so threatened? Throw it back on them.
Yep.
Throw it back on them.
And they're all, I mean, listen, the guy who said that.
Oh, please show your video.
I have it. There's some pictures of him.
Michelle had her own smoke to give this week about Darren Beatty.
Yeah, we'll play that. So, did you see this tweet today? This guy, Darren Beatty, who said, "Competent white men must be in charge. We've spent too much time coddling women and minorities." Y'all, this man is so racist, he was fired from the first Trump administration, if that tells you anything. He was just appointed by Marco Rubio to be acting undersecretary of state for public diplomacy. Bloated, garbage, aging like milk in the hot sun. This guy, this human jar of expired mayonnaise, thinks that somehow genetically he's hit the jackpot and the rest of us are inferior to whatever the this is. Also, just like, he's so gross. Ugh. Darren Beatty is a horrible human being. And let me just say this, as an elder millennial woman, that my generation is the most educated, the most financially independent group of women in the history of the world. Our mothers and grandmothers could not get credit cards or bank accounts without the permission of a man. He raised us to have a better life, and we do. And people like Darren Beatty don't want to just send women back. They want to send everybody back who's not a white, straight man. And I am so sick of this white man shit. I really am just so over it. And Marco Rubio, whatever soul you had still in your body has left the building. Democrats, I hope you realize this is why you don't vote for any of them. If these men think they are going to take us down, make us handmaids, and put us back in the kitchen, they got another thing coming. And I can promise you this, we are not going back.
Yes, Michelle Kinney with her own smoke. Okay. That video has gone pretty viral.
Yeah.
Because I think you are not alone in how you feel about this.
The comments are all just like despicable, like yes, and then the human jar of mayonnaise thing somehow hit a chord. And
I mean,
and Congresswoman Crockett shared it on her Instagram too, which I think helped, give it some traction. And
she appreciates the fire. She gets it. She's like, call it for what it is. I mean, we have to mock some of these guys because
you have to laugh at them because they're ridiculous.
Right. They're threatened. Look at that freaking guy.
Look at him. That's a guy who's like can't get any women to sleep with him.
That's usually the case.
So he tweets this shit. He's racist. He hates women. He hates himself. I mean, quite. Right. I can't.
So I want to juxtapose that with something we saw this afternoon. That it just adds to the infuriating aspect of this whole DEI thing.
Yeah.
One of my friends who works for the Defense Department told me over the weekend how she was tasked over the weekend with erasing a bunch of their DEI programs inside the agency she works for, including one of their women mentor programs. So it's like they bring in young girls and they try to expose them to non-traditional jobs in the military, pilots or, engineers and whatever. And that they had to delete and take away all of those mentoring programs because it was DEI. Outrageous. So that goes along with what I saw this today, which I put in one of our chats from this woman. Her name is Rose DeLuna. And there you go. She said, well, my bio just got removed from the NASA site because of an order that went out to remove stuff about women in STEM. I've only been on Threads for a full year, so a lot of people here never heard of a feature that NASA did on me talking about my love of the moon, how I grew up in poverty, then my homelessness in the US, and then me being at NASA itself. That's how easy it is to erase you as a person and everything you've done. I'm not even sure how I feel right now. Now, she goes on. For folks telling me that it's just a page or two and to share it to just a page or to share it in other social media, I appreciate the sentiment. The reason why this is painful has nothing to do with popularity or people know I don't care about that. There are very few people from my entire country who have done what I did, let alone women. Going from the streets to walking the halls at NASA is no easy accomplishment. To be erased, it's not a good feeling. So let me feel the way I do because this shouldn't have happened at all. I want to address a few things since I can't get to everyone and this is getting a lot of attention. There is more. Thank you so much to those of you who are being kind and respectful about this. Those of you who are saying that there are still tons of women on the NASA site, that this doesn't matter, and that's certainly not the point. If you bother me trying to be obnoxious and disrespect me, you will be blocked. And for those asking where to read about me, here's my site. And she posts the site. This woman is an astronomer and an aerospace engineer. These are the people that they want to erase. This woman is an American success story. And these motherfuckers want to diminish her accomplishments by calling it DEI as if that's a slur. And it is erase her accomplishments.
They've made it into a slur.
Right.
That's the thing. I mean, DEI is the new CRT, is the same, is the new forced busing, is the new N-word.
Yes, that is correct.
Or whatever slur,
Yeah, whatever derogatory term they think they want to use.
Whatever group of people they're trying to erase.
Right. And that includes you, white women. right?
Oh, like Pam Bondi. Hello.
Right. Pam Bondi, who got sworn in by Clarence Thomas. The irony of that. But we want to talk about DEI hires. You think Clarence Thomas was the most qualified person to become a Supreme Court justice at the time? I've got news for you. He was not.
I recommend to everyone, if you have not seen it, first of all, there's a Frontline on Clarence Thomas, but then there's also a season of Slow Burn. Now, Slow Burn is a podcast that started as a story about Watergate, which actually the first episode's about Martha. Good God,
the wife of the?
Why am I blanking? Martha.
I know.
I'm like, now that I'm here, it'll come to me at 2 o'clock in the morning. I know exactly who it is. Anyways, it actually inspired the series with Julia
Roberts, who played the hell out of that role.
I was like all into it. Anyways, a later season is about Clarence Thomas, and it tells the story of his life.
Yep.
His grievance, and why he is the way he is, and where it has led him in life. This is a man who has no empathy for anyone.
Nope. He's very aggrieved.
He will take anything. He will take gifts. He will take money. He will take anything. He doesn't care. His wife, I think somebody on CNN today described Ginny Thomas as a conservative activist. I'm like, oh, really? Great.
Talk about sane washing her.
Right. He's a dangerous, dangerous man. And I think that if given the opportunity would, overturn Loving versus Virginia.
Yes, which again is cognitive dissonance because he's a Black man married to a white woman, which Loving versus Virginia was the Supreme Court case that overturned the illegality of interracial marriage. So Claire, I co-sign on the Slow Burn podcast. My husband and I actually listened to the entire thing on our drive to Florida 2 years ago. And even for me, because I was caught up in all of the whole Clarence Thomas stuff when I was younger, I didn't really know. I was a conservative Republican back then. I didn't really know. But life experience and a lot of things have opened my eyes to lots of things. And Clarence Thomas being one of them, being a horrible, horrible human being. And you find out why he's like that in this Slow Burn series. He didn't start off this way. He was actually like almost like a Black Panther type militant.
Yeah.
And then a series of things happened to him. I'm not going to give away the whole plot because I think it's worthy of people listening and watching these stories about him. But you find out where the turn comes, and he legit feels he is owed this. He was slighted. And he is aggrieved. He is an angry, angry, vengeful man. And he's taking it out on all of us now. And he married an absolute lunatic, Christian nationalist, whack job. Okay. And Ginny Thomas. And
leaving voicemails for Anita Hill, being like, why would you do that? I mean, crazy
pants. And anyone who didn't believe Anita Hill, they need to rethink that.
I have a t-shirt that says, I believe Anita Hill, and I wear it often.
Yeah. That portion of it was really illuminating. And shout out to Denver Riggleman on our Seneca Project Advisory Board, our favorite girl dad. His work on the January 6th committee helped uncover the infamous Ginny Thomas texts to Mark Meadows concerning January 6th and the Stop the Steal and the whole thing about like barges to Gitmo bullshit. Okay. And there was a concerted effort on that committee to tamp down some of the information that was found that concerned her because it was that politically explosive, and they did not want that to be a distraction. I will not name names on who the committee did not want this out there, but they did not want that to be a distraction from Trump's transgressions. But it was pretty ridiculous and insane. And Clarence Thomas should never be anywhere near anything that had to do with Donald Trump and that election and that case because of his conflict of interest with her. Her best friend.
Oh, right. Right. And, I would think that his oath to the United States of America would supersede the oath that he took in his wedding vows. But here we are. So Pam Bondi has instructed the Trump DOJ to criminally investigate companies that do DEI. Now,
this is private companies, people. Okay. Private companies that have their own prerogative to include whatever initiatives they want to recruit the best people and to give people an opportunity that they may not have gotten before or whatever.
Or who didn't go to Ivy League schools or didn't go to the right high school, or his parents weren't, or her parents weren't wealthy, or, it's like, there's so many different things that go into it. I know this because my husband kind of works with this a little bit at his job. And, it's a lot goes into it. A lot does. And these people, they're not putting these people on their teams that don't know what they're doing.
No.
Like, why would they do that?
And
it's about giving opportunities to people who wouldn't otherwise have them.
It's providing the opportunity. It's not guaranteeing outcomes. It's providing Jack Kemp, who was very influential in my journey as a young conservative. Jack Kemp, who was a former congressman, former secretary of HUD under George H.W. Bush, former football player. And he used to say that you had to meet people where they are. And that way you have to establish relationship in the communities and people see. You can't just write a policy and like force it down people's throats. They need to see it in action. And you need to provide ladders of opportunity. And that always stuck with me. That was a big influence in my perspective as a conservative on how we should be creating these opportunities, right? I don't think you can force outcomes. That's the side where I would disagree with some of the people on the left, right?
I've never heard the ladders
of opportunity,
because that sure as hell sounds better than pull yourself up by the bootstraps. Because if you can't afford boots, there's nothing to pull yourself up from.
Which is what Martin Luther King made the point with that about bootstraps. So that's, I think, that when you look at it from that perspective, that's all diversity, equity, and inclusion programs really are. But the flip side of it, it's different, a little different than like quotas, where you're just putting people in as a number, because then people start to question anyone who's not a white straight man who went to an Ivy League school, whether they deserve to be there. And that's the biggest insult ever. Nobody better ever question whether I deserve to be where I was. I earned it. Just like Jasmine Crockett said, sweetheart, I had to work 10 times harder to get where I am. If I see a Black woman pilot, I know she's the best of the best because she had to work 20 times harder to get where she is.
10 times safer.
I mean, like this whole meritocracy bullshit out of MAGA is it's just a veneer to hide their mediocre and inadequacies and their constant failing up, which is what a lot of those people do. And DEI threatens that because you can't fail up with DEI. Here's another headline, Michelle. Which one is this?
This is from the Washington Post. This is they're talking about, here are the words putting science in the crosshairs of Trump's orders. So the National Science Foundation staff has been combing through thousands of active science research projects alongside a list of keywords to determine if they include activities that violate Trump's DEI executive orders. Now, at the top of this, it's a lengthy list, but this list includes women, literally the word women
as a search term,
diverse, institutional, historically. These aren't, I don't even know where to begin.
This is 1984 Orwellian rewriting, going in and rewriting newspaper headlines and like rewriting the history books type shit. And if anybody hasn't read 1984, it's never too late. It can be a little bit of a slog at some points, but even if you just read half of it, you will shiver at the similarities of what they're doing. Right? War is peace. All of that. It's the upside down world. And this is what they're doing here. Why are they trying to erase our history? Why? It's Black History Month. And you know what? Have you heard a lot about Black History Month? Have you actually seen, usually you see all kinds of things. Companies have their Black History moments. They have the, celebration of Black History Month on, in federal buildings. They'll show people who have done extraordinary things, Black Americans who have done extraordinary things in this country. All of that has been taken down. That is not allowed. It's not allowed now in any federal building. Thanks to Donald Trump and MAGA. That's right. So,
and a lot of companies and brands aren't even doing anything because they're all cowards and
they're scared.
This is where I take it's just like, you can't take anything seriously, whether it's positive or negative when it comes to brands. I do think there's some people who are trying to do the right thing in some places, but I do think that as quickly as the wind blows one way and they find it profitable or advantageous to, oh, we care about Black people now, or oh, we care about women now. Look at this great ad we made about Women's History Month. They're so quick to take it away.
Yeah.
Because it's all about money.
Mm-hmm.
It is all about money.
Yes.
And so I show this is from the Center for American Progress. The SAVE Act has been introduced into Congress again. Now, this is something that has been introduced several times, but this time feels really different. And what this does is let me see. I don't want to.
Yeah, I can read it. I have my glasses today, so I can read it today. I purposely brought them down with me because I was like, I think there's going to be a lot of reading in today's show.
Yeah.
So Michelle is correct. The SAVE Act, I think it was introduced actually even back when I worked in Congress, because it was under the auspices of illegal immigration and making sure that people who weren't citizens weren't illegally voting. Mm-hmm. And it stands for the Safeguard American Voter Eligibility Act. And it's been reintroduced. And even when Michelle said this to me, I was like, oh yeah, the SAVE Act, I remember that. But then she was like, no, but wait, look, this could impact women. And I said, holy shit, how? And then I read it and I go, oh my God. Yeah. So the basic pieces of this is that in theory, it makes sense. They want people to make sure that they show like legitimate 2 pieces of ID, like a passport and your driver's license, or your driver's license and something else, because there was a lot of document fraud going on over the years when it came to illegal immigration. Like document fraud was a huge thing with driver's licenses, fake social security cards, and birth certificates, a lot of this. So they were trying to figure out ways. That's how we got Real ID. That's why we're all going to have our licenses with this Real ID. And there's some like biometrics, which I have issues with, but that ship has sailed at this point. Yeah. So that was the initial intent. However, it says in this article that the legislation will require the vast majority of Americans to rely on a passport or birth certificate to prove their citizenship. While this may sound easy for many Americans, the reality is that more than 140 Americans do not possess a passport, and as many as 69 million women who have taken their spouse's name do not have birth certificates matching their new legal names. So, married ladies, if you have legally changed your name to your husband's last name, this could they could use this. This is all hypothetical right now, but it doesn't matter, because like Michelle always warns, lack of imagination is dangerous, because there's no limit to what these people will do.
It's like the Project 2025 video that we showed about all if you could wave your Christian wand today, would women have a right to vote? No.
Right.
We have the other Christian nationalism video that we have where he goes on this pastor guy goes on about how there should be one family for one vote, and like how every woman should just trust the men who love them to vote for them.
Yep. And so that's where that last line, it seems benign enough until the last line about your last name, if you're married, not matching your birth certificate. Well, of course, because you weren't born with your husband's married last name. So it's the asininity of this is apparent, but at the same time, they could use it as a tool to try to disenfranchise women.
Yeah. And listen, I changing your name when you get married is such a personal decision. I mean, I think it is now more than it used to be. I think it was just a given. Everybody was going to do that. But here's the reality. Women are given 2 choices for a last name: your father's or your husband's. And the autonomy that you have with your name, I mean, there's so much ownership that goes into it. When I got married, I really was like, but I'm Michelle Kinney. I've been Michelle Kinney my whole life. I don't want to divert away from that. And there's so much ingrained in our society with the patriarchy about ownership. Women were property. We couldn't own property. We couldn't vote. We couldn't have bank accounts until the 70s.
We couldn't start our own businesses without a man until 1988.
Right. And so, like I said, and I don't disparage anybody who has, because again, it's an act of love to do that. You know, families, I get it, you know, but it's something I see through a different lens now than even the 10 years ago when I got married. I see it so much more clearly with the way that they're trying to dismantle and peel away our rights and our autonomy bit by bit by bit, because they are threatened.
Yeah.
Because like I said in that video, I'm an elderly millennial. The elderly millennials and Gen Xers, we are the most educated, most financially independent women in the history of the world. And there is about to be one of the largest, if not the largest, transfers of wealth from the baby boomers to the younger Gen Xers and millennials. And that is going to, you know, change a lot of situations for a lot of young women, or, you know, middle-aged women. And again, I think about the Handmaid's Tale. It's fiction, but is it? I don't know. I went back and watched a bunch of the flashback scenes, and just the one about, you know, they freeze all the bank accounts. They seize the bank accounts. Anyone who's got an F in front of their name instead of an M. And, you know, you can't access your own money, but your husband can, or your next of kin who's male.
And that was, anyone who hasn't read the books or watched the show, The Handmaid's Tale is about a militant theocracy that comes in and violently takes over the United States and subjugates all the women because there's a fertility problem. And the women of fertile age are ripped from their families and made property of the commanders, who are the elite, and their wives that can't have children, and they're there just to have children. They are forcibly raped, and they live in their homes as handmaids to have children for the elite. And the country is divided into Gilead, which is where the crazy theocrats take over, and then the rest of the country, which has the rebels, who are and Mayday, who is the rebel underground that helps try to smuggle women out.
It's Mayday is it's the resistance. It's the underground resistance within this authoritarian country, a theocracy. And, you know, it's I think about it all the time, because there's, you know, in one of the later seasons, June meets up with Mayday people, and it's like, oh, you're Mayday? And they're like, no, we're all Mayday.
Yes.
It's not a thing. It's a belief.
Yes.
It's a community. It's a resistance. And I think that I think about that a lot in this moment.
Oh yeah, it's scary. I mean, it started in 2015. And I came late to watching that show, and then I got hooked right away. And so I was able to binge it. I was able to binge the first 3 seasons.
Nightmares.
And it was was it intense?
That's too much. I don't know that I could do that.
I got my mom to start watching, and she had to stop because she said it was too overwhelming for her. The season where June is pregnant, I think it's like the second season. She's like, I could not keep going. Like,
so awful.
It was just too much. It was too much.
But it's so real.
It's so good. Mom, if you're watching, please go back and start watching Handmaid's Tale. I don't know. Now it's even more, it's like insane, but.
Well, Margaret Atwood, though, I mean, she's a Canadian author who wrote this book in the 80s.
Yeah, in the 80s.
And she wrote this book, and, you know, the things that happen to women in this story have happened to women throughout the world. She didn't make anything up.
Right.
These sorts of things happen to women everywhere. I mean, look at a picture of Iranian women from the early 70s.
Yeah. Yeah. So this wasn't that far after that, right? This wasn't that far after that. I mean, Iranian women were thriving in society. They were doctors, lawyers, scientists, you know, and look what happened there. And again, a violent theocracy that took over. And look at Christian nationalism now. That's why so many of us that understand history and know these things are like screaming, this is a 5-alarm fire. CNN should have a chyron every day that says America in crisis, like we had earlier. There it is. That should be on CNN and MSNBC and NBC on every single broadcast, because of what we're going through. This is a freaking crisis here. And the people who are in charge now are people who are unserious, unqualified reality TV people, like our Secretary of Transportation. And Michelle, has taken lots of pride in what she's about to show you, because I think a lot of people are probably unaware of Sean Duffy's history and where he came from. I watched The Real World. I think he's my age, actually.
Yeah, probably.
He was on one of the original Real Worlds.
Real World Boston in like 97 or 98.
Yes. Oh, so no, Real World, the first one came out in 92. So it was a couple iterations later. But his wife,
and then he went back. And then he
Right.
went back to do like the reunions, like the road
And the road
things.
rules challenges, like that whole ecosystem, which was like, it predated Housewives. And that's where Andy Cohen got the idea. It all originated with The Real World. And his wife was in Real World San Diego, Rachel Campos.
They got like 12 kids or something.
Yes, yes, they do. Crazy story. I actually spent the summer with her in San Diego in 1996 when I worked on the Republican convention. She's been a longtime Republican, and she had almost died in a major car accident with her fiance at the time, who did die, I believe. And she was like, it took her like 10 months to recover. It was a whole thing. She was actually quite nice back then, but then she turned into a wacko, like a lot of these other people. Yes, total wacko.
They get radicalized.
Yes. And her and Sean Duffy, they got married. They have a bunch of kids. He became a congressman from Wisconsin, I believe. And
but he was a district attorney even before that,
which
in
is
Wisconsin.
Which is okay, you know.
But
he's not qualified to be Secretary of Transportation.
No, he's not. No,
and
he's not.
He just gave the green light for Elon Musk and his Doge.
Yeah.
I want to call him something else.
And that's
to get
why
into our air traffic control system.
Yeah, I wanted to show that first because I have a good friend who is about to take her kids to Disney World next week, who has canceled her flights and is now driving from Maryland.
Take the auto train.
I don't think that that's terribly irrational. Like, I
don't either.
I don't feel, I mean, I'm supposed to go to California like this month. I
know.
You know, I don't know that I want to go anymore. I might just have to eat the money because like I'm like I'm not a good flyer anyways.
Yeah.
I never have been, but like it's not the fear of flying that I have now. It's the fear that they're going to go in and push a button and there's going to be AI running, you know, some wonky AI running air traffic control or something. I mean, honestly, I won't put it past them.
That hasn't been tested. It hasn't been tested. There hasn't been like, you know, I mean, yes, our air traffic control system is antiquated and is in desperate need of upgrade.
Yes.
But this is not how you do it.
No.
There is a system to do this. They're supposed
people don't know what they're doing. They don't know anything about aviation or
but wait. No. Elon Musk, he sends rockets up into the sky and brings them back.
So
that qualifies him to do this, Michelle. Come on.
Right. And so here's this tweet. Here's this tweet from Secretary Sean Duffy. Big news. Talk to the Doge team. They're going to plug in and help upgrade our aviation system. And then our friend Joe.
We love her. JoJo from Jersey. Shout out.
The exploding penis rocket guys. What a spectacularly TV reality show starish idea.
Joe. She's hilarious. I love her.
She is a trip.
I love her. She brings the Jersey wit. I love her.
Yes. And so,
is that what gave you the idea to pull the clips?
Yeah.
So we're going to show you some of the reality TV guys, like Sean Duffy, who's our Secretary of Transportation. Here's the waste machine.
Yep. These resurfaced. The Daily Mail put them out because let me tell you, I don't know if they scrub the internet. They are very hard to find, like even on TikTok. And when I did the Google search for videos, there was actually like one of those eyes with the line through it. Like it was a sensitive. Yeah.
Well, it kind of is a little bit. I mean.
Well, it is. I had to put black bars on some of it.
You did it? I thought the video.
Yeah, I mean, I had to on some of it because it's a little, I mean, if this is a family show, I don't know, but
well, I mean, I drop F-bombs, but I don't think anybody
that's different than
but I don't think people don't want to see the Secretary of Transportation schlong flying around, so it's not enough. We had to see the First Lady's TNA, you know, that was all over the internet, so, well, here you go.
So here we are.
As we're sitting on the boat, I break out my video camera and I'm filming everybody in our group and hanging out. And all of a sudden I see Montana like looking at me like she's gonna unzip her vest and show me her boobies.
Breakfast in bed.
Good for young Elker. But I want to get the good sexual stuff. What's going on? I had half a little glass of beer and a little wine.
Did you at any time over the course of the weekend, while in the presence or caring for children, drink alcohol?
Yeah.
I need more light, dog. I gotta give me some light.
Cool. Of course, on this trip, I had to ask about everyone's favorite topic, sex. Dancing.
Cool.
Yeah, there you go.
I had to put bars over his peen, and also someone licking his nipples, which I just didn't think anybody wanted to see. So
yeah, great. That these are the people in charge of our, aviation.
And I just want to say, if that was a woman, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez filmed a video when she was in college of just her and her friends dancing, just dancing and like happy dances on the roof of a building.
I remember.
And the right lost their minds.
I remember this.
How dare this pretty, joyful young woman be joyful?
Right.
It's like they don't want, and I think about this, they don't want women to be happy or have a good time or do anything.
No.
But they can do that and it's fine.
Yes. Well,
again, DEI for mediocre white guys is the Trump cabinet.
I saw someone who said DEI stands for didn't earn it. And had pictures of the Trump kids. Of Don, Eric, and Ivanka. Yes, I was like, the internet always wins. The internet always wins.
Yes.
Yeah. I look.
There
here's the good news.
Right in the middle.
There it is. Yeah, Boston. Here's the good news, and I think it's important that we kind of leave people with some good things. The good news is that there is some organization happening. People are starting to wake up. Like I said, a little late, but that's okay. Better late than never at this point. And the protests that were organized this week by Indivisible and some other grassroots organizations on the left, that's a good start. It's got to be more than that, but that's a good start because it garners attention. The members of Congress going over to the Department of the Treasury Department and USAID to bring attention to how horrific this all is good. You've got to bring attention because most Americans, they're not paying attention the way we do. And it's up to us to spread that and to get that word out there. And the more we talk about it, and that's why we put out our video Unsafe, which we are, I think we should re-up actually as we close the show out, because people need to be asked these questions. They need to be challenged. Do you feel safe in Trump's America? Do you feel comfortable with Elon Musk, an unelected billionaire, foreign national, Nazi sympathizer, maladjusted ketamine popper, right? Infiltrating our sensitive government systems and decapitating our government. Are you all right with that? Because I don't think that's what we voted for. I mean, I didn't vote for any of the shit, but nobody here watching did either. But a lot of those other people who were worried about the price of eggs, which, oh, by the way, are going to go up 20% because of bird flu.
I've been seeing they're like $13 or something. I mean, like, it's
because of bird flu, which has now mutated and jumped over into cows, and our CDC, the NIH, the National Science Foundation, all being gutted by Elon Musk and Trump under Doge. Yeah, great. That's wonderful. But there's the good news. The fact that we have some judges in the judiciary stepping in and saying, we're gonna stop that for now. We have senators, Senator Brian Schatz and Chris Murphy and that group of senators got together. They did a big filibuster about the vote guy. It brought attention to it, not enough attention because the media is always looking somewhere else.
Yeah.
And I know you were going to play this. We didn't have time, but Ezra Klein did a thing about Steve Bannon, and Steve Bannon called it muzzle velocity. This throwing a million things at one time. It's like the muzzle velocity of an automatic weapon. And he said that, we're going to throw out multiple things and only the mainstream media will follow one of them and fixate on one. Meanwhile, we're getting everything else done. That's what's happening right now. So we have to make sure that we stay focused and that Democrats and the loyal opposition continues to bring attention to these things. They absolutely need to, because when people start to feel pressure and they start to speak up, stuff like this happens. The Judiciary Committee has now punted on Kash Patel's vote to be FBI director. That's because Democrats have started to raise holy hell about this. The American people are paying attention. Why? Because they overstepped and tried to fire 6,000 FBI agents. They threatened them. They want them to fill out these forms. They're going to take retribution against them because they, God forbid, they worked on the January 6th cases. The counterterrorism division of the FBI, the whole top brass of the FBI, people who have decades of experience, have been fired, thrown out. And that was probably not good timing, because they got so pompous, they thought that Kash Patel was just going to sail through, and they went ahead and did this the day after his hearings last week, because the hearings were they were milquetoast, right? There really wasn't much pushback, which pissed me off. But on Friday, they decided to do this to the FBI, and then now the FBI is getting together and they're suing a class action suit, because they have to have cause. And these agents did not do anything wrong, nothing wrong. Same thing with some of these DOJ officials too. Same thing, trying to purge the DOJ. So they now, this delay tells me that there's a concern that they don't have the votes. Now, we'll see where that ends up, because we've heard this before, that, there may not be enough votes. There's concern about RFK. There was concern about Gabby. Right. Yes, please go back and watch Hamilton. It's so good. But they still made it out of committee. So if you make it out of committee, you're pretty much going to get confirmed, which is just outrageous. And I've done, for folks who are Don Lemon fans, I am now doing a segment on Don Lemon's network called the Set Mayor Sound Off. Today was the first day I did that. So it's over there on Don Lemon's network. Go check it out. But I talk about the Republicans. I blame them for this, because they actually have the power to stop it, and they haven't. Like, are there no decent Republicans? None of them have any. And the answer is no. So and we shouldn't, I
mean, Mitch McConnell's like 5 bajillion years old. I mean, he made some sort of
it was symbolic
no, symbolic no,
right,
but
the other
day he fell down the stairs like 2 times.
Again, yeah. So that's nice. Now that's nice, Mitch McConnell, that you want to do that now. But where the heck was that when they needed to get rid of him during January 6th?
Right.
That's right. They should have impeached him. And if Mitch McConnell had gone through with the great floor speech he gave and actually backed that up, we would not have Donald Trump right now. So Mitch McConnell can fuck all the way off. I don't really care what he does now. It's a little late. Late.
The Supreme Court seat he stole. I mean, you could argue both, but
all of it. But Mitch McConnell also left the playbook for Democrats to pick up from 2009 and obstruct the hell out of the Senate and make this a lot more difficult than it has than they've made it so far. Because I was on the Hill when they did this to Barack Obama and the Democrats, where they had a 60-seat majority. Okay, right. And they still made it really difficult. And the Democrats are finally waking up to this. So shout out to them for doing that. We're starting to see some movement in pushback. So I say all that to say, what do I always say, Michelle, about the righteous anger of the American people? That collectively, the righteous anger of the American people is very powerful. It's not all lost yet.
Yeah, so no, it's not. And yeah, and I there's a couple kind of more positive things that I wanted to share too.
Yep.
One of them is just funny. It's just like a few seconds long, but this is Amy Klobuchar was speaking at the Washington press thing, and there's
a question for you that I want to pose. What is the difference between Greenland and Donald Trump? Greenland is not for sale. Okay. For any Republican Trump administration person out there that want to throw eggs at me as a result of that joke, you can't, because they're too expensive.
Corny as hell.
Listen, I went to that dinner last year, and that's kind of like the baby version of the White House Correspondents' Dinner. And I actually, Jasmine Crockett sat at my table last year. And
I remember that.
We had a great time. And Fetterman was there too, in his stupid fake tuxedo sweatshirt and shorts. And I was like, for God's sakes, guy, put on a suit. But I have a lot more things to say.
Well, when I saw that on one of like my favorite like gay influencers who's obsessed with her relationship with Pete Buttigieg and like the hatred between the two. And he was like, he was so camp. There's this whole market of show business that just is Amy Klobuchar, and we're like really missing out on it.
Oh, that's so funny.
But the last thing I wanted to talk about, and my friend Anna actually brought this to my attention. I knew about it, but I'd forgotten. And it's why I'm wearing red lipstick today. So if you Google it, it's trending right now. On TikTok, there's a bunch of more liberal left people who are starting to wear red lipstick. And here is why. Because the Allied and resistance women during World War II wore red lipstick as an act of rebellion and resistance. Why? Because Adolf Hitler hated it. He thought it was the antithesis of what his ideal woman was. And it says the Aryan ideal was a pure, unscrubbed face. Visitors to Hitler's country retreat, lady visitors, were actually given a little list of things they must not do. Avoid excessive cosmetics, avoid red lipstick, and on no account ever are they to color their nails. And red lipstick has been a symbol of defiance long before World War II. Well, there's sirens outside my window. While red lips in ancient Egypt were the prerogative of the elite. Cleopatra famously wore a red lip with her makeup. They soon were associated with women of ill repute. Sex workers had to wear it by law in ancient Greece so as not to pass for decent ladies. But red lips gained favor again when women began to fight for their rights in the early 20th century. Rachel Felder, an American journalist, dedicated a book to the cosmetic titled Red Lipstick, an ode to a beauty icon. In it, she recounts how when the suffragists, not suffragettes, in New York City marched for their right to vote, they first stopped by the shop of Elizabeth Arden to pick up a tube of red lipstick.
I love this.
Arden. Isn't it great?
I'm gonna have to go to Elizabeth Arden now and
I know. Arden, who had recently opened her shop, supported their cause and handed them out for free. And after this, the suffragists around the world began to wear red lipstick as well. The lip color returned in fashion during World War II.
I love
as soon as women, right. I mean, gorgeous.
Yeah.
As soon as women in Allied countries and in the resistance learned of Hitler's distaste for it, they adopted it as a show of resistance. In Britain, Felder says, the women were so intent on wearing lipstick, a red lipstick, that they would stain their lips with beet juice if they could not find or afford the tubes of lipstick.
Yes.
So
yes.
That is why women right now, this is a trending thing that women all over the country are doing. They're picking up tubes of lipstick. You don't have to spend all that much money on them if you don't want to or you can't. To show it's an act of protest against this authoritarian Trump regime. And it's a way to signal to other women and other people that we're in this together.
I love this. Obviously, I didn't get the memo before the show. And so I was like,
it was a very last minute thing that I decided to do. It was a very last minute thing.
I'm glad because when Michelle popped on, I was like, oh, that's a fabulous red. And she's like, oh, there's a reason. I'm like, well, you should have told me. I would have worn it because I just recently started buying the Lip Bar lipsticks from this. It's a Black women-owned cosmetic company that was rejected by the assholes on Shark Tank and they said, okay, screw you. And they still continued on with their dream and they became huge. And now they're in Target and it's a booming business. And Governor Gretchen Whitmer made one of their colors. It kind of almost looks like this, famous. And they renamed it the Big Gretch. And so I learned about this company during the DNC and from Gretchen Whitmer talking about it. And I was like, A, I love this. B, I want to support a Black-owned business and a Black woman-owned business. So a lot of my lipsticks lately have been from there. Normally I wear MAC lipsticks. So now, and Fenty, I like Fenty lipsticks too, another Black-owned by Rihanna. But they have really a fantastic red that I've started wearing. And it's matte because I like a good matte. And it's called Boss Lady. It's called Boss Lady. So shout out to the lip bar ladies. Shout out to Elizabeth Arden. I did not know this about their history with the suffragist movement. I love Elizabeth Arden cosmetics anyway, for other things. And it's been a long time since I've actually used them, but this makes me want to go and support them too.
Well, it's funny, Tara. I mean, red lipstick kind of used to be my thing when I was in my 30s. I wore it all the time. You could always count on Michelle Kinney to be in a red lipstick, but then COVID happened and we were wearing masks all the time. And I have an entire drawer full of red lipsticks. Like if you saw it, like you would die. I own like 50 of them. Like it
looks fantastic
disgusting
on you because you have dark hair and green eyes, and the red lipstick makes it pop.
Well, this is the first time I have worn red lipstick since before the pandemic. So glad to be here with it.
More of it, please, Kenny. I love it. I think we might have to do it, make it a thing. But I don't know if we can both wear red lipstick on the show, because then is it too much red lipstick?
No, who cares?
I can't wear my purple hat, so.
But I want to wear red and purple go together. You just have to find the right shade.
That's true. That's true. I don't know. If you know what, ladies who are watching, if you guys have a fabulous red, please.
Yes. Maybe we'll make a little list of our favorite like colors and brands or something like that. We'll put it up.
Post it to our social media. If you follow us, like and subscribe. If you're listening, like and subscribe on YouTube, but also Blue Sky is our happy place now. We still have a presence on the other place, but Blue Sky is really where we're building there, and Instagram. So post your pictures to our Seneca Project accounts on social media, and we'll show some next show.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, and it wouldn't be the stakes if there weren't sirens
in the background. Well, it's kind of like almost the apropos for
like the third
happening. Yeah, it is, because we are in a 5-alarm fire, so we're sounding the alarms, folks. Sounding the alarms.
Exactly.
All right, guys. Well, thank you for hanging out with us and cathartically going through this all together. We are in this all together, and we will survive it together. So, thank you for sharing, and please like and subscribe. And we're going to end it on our latest unsafe. Are you safe in Trump's America? Do you feel safe in Trump's America?
I'm going to play another one first, and then we're going to get to that.
Oh, okay, good.
Realize it's not loaded. So we're going to do a couple of our latest ads on our way out. We hope you'll stick around and watch them and support our work, because we have to get the word out as much as possible. So.
Yes.
All right. See you next week.
Mass deportation.
Largest deportation program in American history. Travel ban. Muslim ban.
Confusion erupted at airports.
Clearing the streets of peaceful protesters.
This is now a political stunt.
The president saying, why don't we nuke them?
Floated the idea of buying Greenland.
Not ruling out military force to acquire Greenland.
30,000 separate lies.
Flushed printed pieces of paper down the toilet.
Lavish spending. Ethics investigations.
Extortion.
Bribery. Brazen influence peddling.
Threatened to withhold aid for California wildfires.
The president isn't leading.
Poor me.
The president caves.
Disclosed highly classified information to the Russian foreign minister.
Seeming to grovel in front of Vladimir Putin.
He was not the patriot he should have been.
Americans are dead because the president delayed.
Refused to act.
Ignored those warnings.
There's no vaccine that is safe and effective. Go have a good time, Bobby.
No guardrails.
There are no independent agencies.
Surrounding himself with loyalists.
Answer to President Trump. We're going to come after the people in the media.
They should go to jail.
We are watching an attempted sedition.
I am your retribution.
Jeff Bezos, Sam Altman, and Mark Zuckerberg pledging $1 million donations to the Trump Inauguration Fund.
The ABC settlement for $15 million.
The Los Angeles Times will soon be adding Scott Jennings to their editorial board after the owner is now calling for more conservative voices.
Joe and I went to Mar-a-Lago to meet personally with President-elect Trump.
John Fetterman saying he's a hard yes for Republican Congresswoman Elise Stefanik, posting on Truth Social that he wants Donald Trump to get a pardon.
If there is a way to work with Doge or Elon Musk, I'm going to do that.
This could be a constructive undertaking that ought to be embraced.
Senator Bernie Sanders saying Elon Musk is right. Some Democrats telling ABC News their plan to defeat Republicans in the 2026 midterms is to play nice for now. It's time to buckle up, Buttercup, because it is about to be on and popping.
I would be worried about Hexbeth running a McDonald's, let alone the Department of Defense. Say goodbye to your smile and say hello to polio.
Nancy Mace wants little girls and women to drop trow in front of who? An investigator? It is disgusting.
I'm really interested in the Democrats rebuilding Abigail Spanberger, who is running for governor in Virginia.
Congresswoman Mikey Sherrill of New Jersey, a former U.S. Navy helicopter pilot who is now running for governor.
Laguna Pueblo member and Secretary of the Interior Deb Haaland is expected to run for governor of New Mexico in 2026.
If Democrats are true to their values, they will do everything they can with the power they have right now, which is limited, to prevent Donald Trump from doing the things that he's already announced he's going to do.
There are still bodies being pulled from the water.
We do not know what led to this crash, but we have some very strong opinions. You could have stopped the helicopter. You could have gone up. You could have gone down.
Dramatic changes across the government.
He spent the last week trying to push federal employees out the door.
All the people that take care of us, that make sure that you are safe.
On January 21st, the air traffic controller hiring is frozen. And on January 22nd, the Aviation Safety Advisory Committee is disbanded.
There's no head of the FAA.
After Elon Musk repeatedly attacked him on social media, tweeting he needs to resign.
I'm trying to figure out how you can come to the conclusion right now that diversity had something to do with this crash.
Because I have common sense.
That, of course, is not evidence of anything.
My friend Charlie Kirk.
I'm sorry, if I see a black pilot, I'm going to be like, boy, I hope he's qualified.
Are you saying race or gender played a role in this tragedy?
It may have.
DEI suspended, that is correct.
Stephen Miller is a principal architect of the diversity, equity, and inclusion bans.
The president came out here and was casting blame.
Obama, Biden, and the Democrats. Pete Buttigieg, he's a disaster now. He's just got a good line of bullshit.
0 commercial airline crash fatalities out of millions of flights on our watch.
We want the people that are competent.
Duffy's resume includes being a cast member on The Real World Boston.
The weekend anchor from Fox and Friends, Pete Hegseth.
Meanwhile, President Trump stirred confusion today when he tweeted, airplanes are far too complex to fly.
The people in the helicopter should have seen where they were going.
Do you have a plan to go visit the site?
You tell me, what's the site? The water?
Or to meet with the first responders?